Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. My name's Ross Benjamin of RBWins.com. Like every Monday, Mr. Doug Upstone of DocSports.com. We're lucky to have him, and he's with us every Monday. Doug, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, Ross, because and among the reasons I'm doing good is that with the holiday coming up and everything else, well, my family and my children, they got things to do and go in different directions, whatever. So we actually had our Thanksgiving yesterday, as a matter
Oh,
of fact.
wow. Okay.
And so we're having a little something with the wife and I on Thursday, and maybe one of the neighbors might come over, but yeah, so it was very nice, and so I'm happy. What
Did
can I
you,
tell you? It was all
did,
good.
what was it that you were sipping on yesterday, my friend?
And I have to admit, and this is the honest to God truth, on Sundays, I do not, when I'm on vacation, but
Yeah.
otherwise on Sundays, I don't drink anything other than water or maybe a couple of Cokes or something like that. And that's it. Because Mondays are usually busy days.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
besides, hey, I got to do this show on a Monday. I mean, come on, can't have red eyes and be all screwed up. But
Yeah, I hear you. Thank you.
no,
I
it's
appreciate that.
absolutely no, no. It's just, the absolutely true though. I don't because I a lot of articles to write and a lot of stuff going on, so I need a clear head.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's a sign of maturity, Ross.
It only took 60 something years, right?
Well, hey,
It's,
better late than never,
hey,
right?
I look, man, I don't like being mature. I could tell you that, but it
Oh,
certainly helps in the grand scheme of things.
absolutely. I'm on board with that 100%.
So we're going to talk about college football. We're going to talk about two games on Friday, which I'm sure all you avid college football fans out there know Friday's a big day in college football on an annual basis, the day after Thanksgiving, let me specify. And we got two games we're going to look at, Florida and Florida State. And I'll be looking at Wyoming and Fresno. Those games will both go in the evening. Florida State, 7:30. Wyoming, Fresno at 10 o'clock. Doug's going to be covering Florida State. But before we get to that, just a friendly reminder, folks, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, take a second to do so. It's absolutely free. We're winning like banshees on this channel. And me and Doug went 0-2 last Monday, and boy, oh boy, they came out of the woodwork, Doug. Nobody
Hey,
comes out of the woodwork when we're hitting 67% for 5 weeks, but
that's okay. You know what? I know mine was a horrible pick, and it was no good. And hey, you know what's going to happen? And so
yeah,
don't pretend to be here saying you're going to win 100%. That's for sure. And
yeah,
so hey, came back, or hey, just you pick yourself up, bounce back. Well, in fact, I even can share a story. Sorry about that. Hit the
it's
computer
okay.
here. Hit a story, Ross. Saturday, I had one of my worst days in years, okay, in
Yeah,
college football and just overall. And so, you know what? It was painful. It was embarrassing. It was pretty much all the emotions that you can think of from that standpoint. And I felt sorry for myself that night. But I got up the next morning and said, you know what? I got things to do. Okay.
yeah,
Now my NFL picks at Docs were already in, so that was locked in. But I thought I got to do something else. I had three other picks, and on the day I ended up going 5-1. Okay,
good,
so
fantastic.
it doesn't take care of everything that happened, but
No,
it's a step in the right direction. And hey, that's what you got to do, and that's
it,
that's what this business is about, and kind of that's what life's all about, to be perfectly honest. But we just go on.
yeah, you got to pick up the pieces and move on, stay strong, wipe the slate clean. Not always easy. Nobody's telling you it's going to take 10 minutes to go away, but
No.
yeah, you got that 24-hour rule, right? Okay,
Yep.
you're mad, you're pissed off, you're embarrassed, and you wake up the next morning and you have to forget all about it. And that was the toughest thing for me as a young handicapper to overcome. I can't speak for you, but we'll get your thoughts on that. But if I can give any advice to somebody who's new to this industry, you're going to have bad days. Okay. You got to pick it up and keep on going on. You're going to have several bad days in a row sometime,
Yep.
bad weeks, bad months. It happens. I don't care how good you are. You pick it up and you move on. And like Doug just said, like a true professional, he had a horrible day on Saturday, the worst he's ever had, and he bounces back with a 5-1 Sunday. That's what you do as a true professional. So if you're not capable of doing that, you can't attach the adjective or the pronoun or whatever you want to use that description of professional as being. So again, Doug, I don't know. Did you have trouble with that early?
No, it's never gone away. I'm not going to even pretend. Okay,
Yeah.
it's never gone away. But the one thing that I have learned to do, and couldn't even tell you exactly, is to, when it's time to start looking at the numbers, is to compartmentalize it and
Yes.
put it aside for the period of time that I'm doing it,
Yeah.
and then focus on what needs to get done. And what needs to get done is to try and make the best possible selections that you can.
Yep.
And that's the one skill that I have picked up over the years that helps get through that. As soon as I was done, the pain was right back, but
Yeah, I
that's
hear you.
okay. You know,
Yeah,
but
but the big thing too is not to overreact. We all tweak ourselves. We all adjust. We all evolve in our way that we do things through the years. And me and you've had long conversations off air
yep,
about that topic in general,
right.
and specifically, I should say. But you know what? You can't panic. So if you're going to make an adjustment, you're going to make a tweak. You have to assess what you did the day before. Now, there are times, and I'm going to hear Doug's opinion on this. I don't want to speak for him. There's several times when I assess what I did the day before, there's games that I lost that I can honestly say, under the same identical set of circumstances today, on the games that I lost yesterday, I would do the same thing over again. You just have to account for what transpired during that loss. Was
Yeah,
it unfortunate, or did you get blown out? Now, there's where you really assess what you did wrong.
yeah, and I agree with that 100%. And I have to be honest with you. I certainly have some games that I look back on that I wonder about, from time to time. But the
Yeah,
vast majority, and when I say vast majority, I'm probably talking about 75%. I think, you know what, I'd take that tomorrow.
yeah,
Now, I
yeah,
will say that was not the case this Saturday after
yeah,
things got going. It was like, what was I thinking? And kind of like my pick with Kansas last Monday for free pick. What
yeah,
was I thinking?
yeah,
But you know what? That's all gone now, because
yeah.
there's games tonight on Monday. There's going to be games Tuesday, and there's going to be games going forward. And that's what's important now. That's in the past. We go forward.
Yes, sir. That's the way you have to do it as a pro. You're not doing your clients any justice if you don't do so. You're not only harming yourself, but you're harming the people who paid for you. And if you want to continue on in this business, you have to be resilient. Okay. We're all resilient in our own ways, some more resilient than others, but you have to have some degree of resiliency in order to survive in this business. Anyway,
Uh,
Doug,
and, and,
go
and I
ahead.
was going to say, Mike Trout. I mean, Mike Trout can go
Yeah.
0 for 25, okay, and he's still going to be up the plate. He's feeling awful. He's feeling everything, okay. But guess what? He knows he's got a job to do, and he goes and practices, works harder to fix it, and then just goes off on a tear again. That's how
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, exactly. In the world of sports, there's not an exact science to being perfect. Okay.
I know.
As a matter of fact, there's very few instances when you're perfect for a prolonged period of time. Now, teams have undefeated seasons, right? But in our line of work, and like Mike Trout, you were saying, very rare, even if a guy hits 360 for the year, like he has on a couple
Yep.
occasions, he's going to have his slumps throughout the course of the year.
Yep.
He's going to have the times where he goes 2 for 25. And then he's going to have 3 or 4 runs where he goes 12 for 25. And there you go. So
Yep.
have more good runs than bad runs, and you're doing okay, my friends. Anyway, Doug, what do you got for us? Florida State.
Okay, on this one, I think this game is going to be worth watching. It's going to be on ABC on Friday night, excuse me, and I think the atmosphere is going to be great. Now, this interstate rivalry isn't going to be the same as it was when Steve Spurrier and Bobby Bowden were there back in those years, but I think it's going to start to get back to a higher level again. Now, this Mike Norvell, the coach of Florida State, I think he actually ended up with a bigger task than he expected in Tallahassee. Right from the start, things weren't going right. Now in his third season, he's gotten rid of all the unselfish players that the upperclassmen that he had back in those days and replaced them with athletic, more talented players who are interested in winning for their teammates and for the school than winning for themselves. Now, this year, the catalyst of their offense is Jordan Travis, who engineers the number 16 offense in the country, averaging 35.4 points per game. Now, if you've seen Mike Norvell, either at Florida State and especially, though, at Memphis, his offenses were always really balanced. This one's no different. 217 on the ground, 257 through the air. Their defense has made tremendous strides, Ross. They're up to number 13 in the country in points allowed at 18.2. Now, the other big thing, though, is the maturity level of this team. They started the season 4-0. They dropped 3 in a row. They lost those 3 games by a total of 18 points. But since 4-0 straight up and against the spread. Now, Florida, first-year coach Billy Napier, I loved him at Louisiana. I thought he did a tremendous job. And he's got some work to do in Gainesville. This team's 6-4. The loss to Kentucky was a bit of a surprise, but that came after beating Utah at home. So that's not completely bad. And they've lost to Tennessee, LSU, and Georgia. In retrospect, not so bad. Now, the loss Saturday against Vanderbilt is, to me, their one truly black eye of the year. And they did that despite the fact of outgaining the Commodores by 162 yards. I think they were looking ahead to this week. Anthony Richardson's the wild card in this game, their quarterback. He's a sophomore. His best days as a football player are ahead of him. Tends to run a little bit hot, a little bit cold, but he can still carry this team that ranks 101st in total defense, Ross. Not very good at all.
Yeah.
The numbers suggest, and in part, I agree, Florida State should win and cover the either 9.5 or 10 points. But, if this was 20 or 30 years ago, when in this series, if you were following it like Ross and I were, is that the home teams either won or the favorites always won and covered, okay? But not so much, I don't think, anymore. Richardson, I think, is going to have an outstanding game. I think he's going to create problems for the Noles in the run game, okay, especially with his elusiveness and his big plays. So for the win, I'm going, but for the loss, I'm going chop, chop. I'm so sorry for the side. I'm going chop, chop. Give me the Gators plus the 9.5 or 10, Ross, ready to go.
Okay, so Florida plus the 10 over Florida State. And yeah, I mean, you look at both of these teams' seasons, a bit of inconsistency at Florida, no doubt about it. And case in point, their performance on Saturday, losing to lowly Vanderbilt, who's all of a sudden on a 2-game win streak, by the way. And that's news in itself. Especially a 2-game win streak within the SEC.
Yes.
I don't know when the last time they did that. Anyway, Mike Norvell, he's starting, like Doug just said, in my opinion, he's starting to get it together at Florida State. He had a big overhaul to do, and it wasn't so much on a talent-laden basis. It was more so on culture. And Doug hit it right on the nose. He's got players that play for the guy next to them instead of for me, is like I like to say it. And so, I look for them to be vastly improved again next year, because now he's in his 4th year, Doug, and now it's his recruiting classes that are prominent on the team. The same thing could be said for Billy Napier at over at Florida. You got to give him time. He inherited a team that regardless of it being a recruiting class of his last year, very few true freshmen come in the SEC and are impact players. There are exceptions, right? I mean, you can go to Alabama and Georgia and find tons of examples in that regard. But for the rest of the college football world, that's not always the case. So give this guy a couple years. I mean, it's not like they're having a horrible year. What are they, 6-5 right now?
6-5, correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, they win this game. They knock off their rival. They're already bowl eligible. They end up with guaranteed himself of a winning record. And Florida State, boy, oh boy, you got to give them credit. I mean, you said once I saw that 3-game skid, I said, here we go again. Right. The tent's about to fold, but give them credit and give Mike Norvell credit and that coaching staff credit. They held the fort together, and they're sitting here with a pretty good 8-3 record right now. So in any event, I'm going to take a look at the Wyoming and Fresno game real quickly, folks. You can find me at rbwins.com. That's rbwins.com. That's my personal website. If you paid for my subscriptions, or you had a 3-day plan, or you bought picks over the weekend, you did okay. Okay, so I have my Pac-12 game of the year on Saturday with USC. I had my NFL game of the year yesterday on the Dallas Cowboys on the money line, -120. They only won 40-3. So it was a good day. 3-1 in the NFL, 4-3 in the college football last week, but that's not it all, I should say. NBA, right now I am excuse me for looking because my memory just left me, but I am at 59% over my last 83 picks dating back to last year in the NBA. Also on a college basketball run of 6-1 right now. So things are going good. NFL 10-star top plays on the year, 10-2, and dating back to last year, 21-7 with my last 28. All right, let's get to my free pick. Enough about me. Wyoming at Fresno, both teams 7-4. And if you're not an avid fan of the Mountain West Conference or either one of these teams, if you looked at the records like I did when I handicapped this game, I was a little bit surprised. They're both 7-4. Be honest with you, Doug. And I like to feel that I'm on top of everything, but this is one of those cases where I said, whoa, I didn't realize both of them had a decent record like this. Yeah. In any event, Fresno -15, the total in this game, 50.5. This game will be played on Friday evening as well, 10 o'clock Eastern time kickoff. Wyoming's coming off a 20-17 home loss to Boise in a game they were a home underdog of +14.5. That ended a 4-game win streak for the Wyoming Cowboys. They were outgained in that game, 481-308, were -1 in the turnover department, yet somehow they found a way to keep it close. And that's been the theme with Wyoming during their win streak and during that close, almost upset win over Boise last week as a double-digit underdog. Fresno, on the other hand, they started the year 1-4. They lost their star quarterback in week 3 against USC. And they lost their following 2 games after that to go to 1-4, and everybody was writing them off for the season. But like Lee Corso says, not so fast, my friend. They put together a 6-game win streak, now 7-4. Their last 4 games, even with the quarterback issues and the injury issues they've had, their second-string quarterback sat out last week. I don't know if he's going to be ready to go, but all I know is this Fresno offense, 313 plus yards passing over their last 4 games. Where am I going with this? Well, Wyoming's 4-0 to the under in their last 4. Those 4 games averaged 38.3 points per game. Why are they playing such low-scoring affairs? Number one, they're not explosive offensively, and they love to run the ball, and they run the ball effectively, which sometimes is your best defense. As a matter of fact, Wyoming, over their last 3 or 4 games during this win streak, they're averaging close to 300 yards rushing per game and over 6 yards per rushing attempt. And that'll keep you in a lot of games, and it'll also make your defensive statistics look a lot better than they actually are because you're dominating time of possession. Fresno has allowed just 17.3 points per game during a 6-game win streak. And then over the last 5 games in which Wyoming went 4-1, they're allowing just 16.2 points per game. Wyoming will run the ball. They will run the ball effectively. They'll limit Fresno State's offensive opportunities or number of drives. And as a result, Fresno won't put up the kind of points they normally do. And I'm looking at this game to be like a 23-17, 27-17 type of game. I'm going Wyoming, Fresno under the total of 50.5. And once again, Doug Upstone, he likes Florida plus 9.5 over Florida State. The floor is all yours, Doug.
Yeah, I like. Well, part of the reason that's an intriguing game because those are 2 good veteran coaches. Okay, yeah. Craig Bowl at Wyoming, he does a really nice job. It's really old school how they play. And Jeff Tedford, I mean, he never was a great coach at Cal. Did a good job initially. He went to Fresno State, did a fantastic job. Had some health issues. He's come back, and I mean, the guy knows how to coach. He knows how to coach offense. So it's 2 good programs and should be an entertaining game to watch, I would think as well. So I like that one, Ross.
2 head coaches that had some pretty good college quarterbacks at one time.
Yes.
Josh Allen at Wyoming, only 1 team wanted him after he finished his freshman year in junior college. It was Wyoming, took a chance on him. And how'd that work out? And as I recall, and Doug would know this better than I do because he's a big Green Bay fan, I do believe that Tedford had Aaron Rodgers when he was at Cal.
I believe that's correct also.
Okay, I'm not
100% sure either.
And I'm not either, but I'm pretty sure. Okay. So
Yep.
forgive me if I'm wrong on that. But anyway, yeah. And that speaks to the resiliency of both teams. Veteran head coaches, been there, done that. And you're right about Tedford. Not great years at Cal, with the exception of when Rogers was there, as I recall anyway. Craig Bowl is, he was a lot better with results at North Dakota State, where he won several FCS championships, and he's done okay at Wyoming. Not great,
yeah.
but he's done okay, and
It's not
so
like kids want to go to Wyoming.
no, it's just not, where do you want to go, to Wyoming or San Diego State? I mean, I'm
Yes.
going with Mountain West schools. Where do you want to, I was going to say Hawaii, but I guess nobody wants to go there either.
No.
And especially, have you seen Hawaii's home games? They're playing in a high school stadium.
Right, I know. Yeah, well, the renovation on the new place. So yeah.
Well, they were drawing friends and families at the old place, man. I hopefully that boosts attendance, because I remember the days when they had Timmy Chang and them guys, and Colt. What was his name?
Colt. Yeah, what was his name? Not Colt,
the year they went undefeated and played Georgia in the Sugar Bowl.
Right. Yep. I can't think of his
Colt
name.
Brennan.
Either,
Colt
yes,
Brennan?
that's it. Yep.
Yeah. Didn't he pass away?
Yeah.
I thought
he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Passed away, unfortunately, at a
late 30 or sometime
30s.
Somewhere middle 30s, somewhere in
37
there.
or so. Yep.
Yeah.
If I recall, got into the painkillers, and too bad. It is what it is. Anyway, Doug, I hope you have a great week. You won't be with us on Thursday. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving. I'm only taping Monday through Wednesday. I love you, buddy, but I'm not going to rearrange the schedule after Wednesday. And you do a great job. And I can't thank you enough for being part of our program here. You've been a tremendous asset. You're a good friend. You're a good person. You're a good husband. You're a good father. And for those of the, more importantly, to those watching, great handicapper. Until the next time, for Doug Upstone of DocSports.com and Ross Benjamin of RBWins.com, we like to wish each and every one of you all the very best, folks. Have a great, happy Thanksgiving. And until the next time, take care and God bless.